Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. Today's video is going to be about a very high quality but at the same time very affordable clone of Tom Ford's Ombre Leather. It comes from the house of Afnan and it's called Rare Carbon. This fragrance is a great choice for the guys out there who love a leather based fragrance. So join me in this video today to see why I like Rare Carbon from Afnan so much. Rare Carbon from Afnan comes packaged in this black colored box with some, as you can see, silver accents on it. On the front you got the name of the fragrance, the name of the company, the bottle size 100 milliliters, the concentration EDP, some branding on the top and on the back, and on the bottom there's a production date which reads June of 2023. In order to get to the bottle you need to slide the top part of the box out like this, and then the bottle sits inside. And the bottle looks like this. It has an interesting design. I also think that there's a female fragrance that shares the bottle design of this one. But this top part is plastic, the cap is plastic, but it's a pretty snug fit. You can hear this secure click when you put it back on. The bottle has nice heft to it. All in all, the packaging is very decent. The note breakdown of Rare Carbon, at least as per Fragrantica, has the following notes. The top notes are leather, violet leaf, nutmeg and cinnamon. The middle notes are violet, agar oud, rose, cedar, and the base notes are sandal, oud, amber and vetiver. Now it's a pretty accurate note breakdown in my opinion, although it misses one important note, but I'll talk about that in a second. This is the sprayer in action. The sprayer is actually very decent. It puts a really nice, has a nice wide distribution. The only thing that I find a bit of a problem with the sprayer is that I think it just needs to put a little bit more juice out, so just keep that in mind. You probably need to use one or two extra sprays while using this fragrance. And now onto the scent of Rare Carbon. As I said, this fragrance is a clone of Tom Ford's Ombre Leather, which means that it should be a leather based fragrance with some fruity and ambery sweetness, and that's exactly what you get with Rare Carbon from Afnan. In the opening you get, right from the first spray, you get a very strong leather note. The opening is accompanied by some sweetness from, some fruity sweetness. There is something like a raspberry or a blackcurrant note, or maybe both, which are not listed in the note breakdown of this fragrance, but they're definitely there. And you also get quite a sort of a strong floral touch out of this fragrance. The violet leaf is pretty strong in the opening. There's a bit of spiciness, but it doesn't play a very prominent role. When this fragrance goes into the dry down, it's a pretty linear fragrance. Just wanted to add that thing as well. It doesn't change that much from the opening to the dry down. On the dry down, the leather is still very strong and is the backbone of this fragrance, the main note. On the dry down, you lose some of that fruity, sweetness that you get in the opening. The dry down gets some sweetness from the amber note. In fact, quite a lot of sweetness. I also pick up a touch of that agar oud. It's not very animalic or challenging. It's just there, somewhere in the background. Apart from that, I don't pick up much of the rose, and the floral elements of this fragrance are still there somewhere in the background on the dry down. All in all, it's a leather dominated fragrance that has in the opening some fruity sweetness, and on the dry down has some ambery sweetness, and throughout the life of this fragrance you get this quite strong floral element. It's a very interesting and enjoyable scent profile, but only if you like leather based fragrances. Keep that in mind. When it comes to how close it is to the original fragrance, it lacks a bit of that fruity sweetness that you get out of Ombre Leather. The raspberry note in Ombre Leather is a lot stronger compared to Rare Carbon. On the dry down, Rare Carbon, in my opinion, feels a little bit more has a little bit more sweetness from the amber note. And this also feels a little bit has a stronger floral touch compared to the original scent, but it's pretty close. In the air especially, it's almost identical to the original fragrance. Up close you will notice those differences. When it comes to performance, Rare Carbon has been a pretty good performer. I've been getting about 8 to 8.5 hours of performance out of this fragrance with pretty loud projection in the first up to 2 hours. When it comes to the price tag, Afnan fragrances are usually a little bit more expensive than your average Middle Eastern fragrance. I paid about 30 euros to get Rare Carbon, maybe slightly below that 30 euro mark, which will translate into something like $35. And at that price point, as I said, it might be a little bit more expensive than your average Latafa fragrance, for an example, but Afnan fragrances have always had a very, very high quality, and they're probably my most favorite Middle Eastern brand because of that, because of the high quality. So price-wise, it's not the cheapest fragrance out there, but still, compared to the original fragrances, it still costs about, a quarter or a fifth of the price of the original. When it comes to versatility, not super versatile fragrance, leather heavy fragrances tend to be more oriented towards the colder months of the year, but still you can wear this in warmer weather as long as you don't overspray. And also this fragrance definitely leans to the masculine side. And onto my final thoughts about Rare Carbon from the house of Afnan. As I said in the beginning of the video, this fragrance is a very high quality clone of Tom Ford's Ombre Leather, at the same time carrying a very affordable price tag. It will get you very close to the original scent. It has a bit of a difference, more of a floral touch in my opinion, and a little bit less fruity sweetness, but still it's a very nice take on the original scent DNA. Quality here is very high, as you would expect with the Afnan fragrances. In my opinion, they offer probably the highest quality when it comes to, reasonably priced Middle Eastern fragrances. You get nice package, you get decent performance, about 8 to 9 hours, which in my opinion is, perfectly respectable performance. You get a very high quality scent profile. And also you'll get very close to the original fragrance. So if you're looking for a very high quality clone of Tom Ford's Ombre Leather, then I think Rare Carbon from Afnan definitely deserves a lot of attention. And still to this day, although this fragrance is somewhat known in the fragrance community, I still think that this is very underrated and deserves more attention for what it offers. When I started my fragrance journey, I wasn't the biggest fan of leather fragrances, but nowadays I tend to enjoy them quite a lot, and Rare Carbon has been one of my best finds when it comes to a leather-based fragrance. So because of that, Rare Carbon gets a big like from me. And so guys, in today's video I showed you a very high quality clone of Tom Ford's Ombre Leather that comes from the house of Afnan, and it's called Rare Carbon. I hope that you found this video interesting or helpful. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.